Good evening, everyone. You're in the spotlight with Brian Gardner for this Tuesday, June the 13th, 2017. Good to have you all here for our first of two shows this week. We're obviously late. We're very late. I'll get into why and explain all about that in just a few moments. But as always, as we start the show, I want to remind you all the ways in which you can interact and contribute to our show. Have your voice heard by emailing us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. Please remember to use the hashtag itspotlight411 for anything you tweet regarding our show. And of course, you can find us on Facebook. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook, and then make sure that you like our page once you find it. All right, so we're obviously on the air late, and the reason for that is, for once, not because of technical problems, because we've been cleared of that, and last week we were on time, both shows, so clearly that's no longer an issue. I got stuck at work. I'm going to be honest. I got stuck at work. I did not expect to be working as long as I did. I was anticipating, especially since I had to start an hour earlier than I usually do, I anticipated being out at like 7:30, 8 o'clock max. Instead, by the time I got home and everything, it was closing in on 9, a little after 9. I had to eat dinner. I had to get everything ready. And so generally everything just got stuck behind. So I do apologize for that. If I had known, first of all, if I had known that it was going to be a late, like if I knew I was going to be late, okay, if I knew that there was a possibility that I was going to work late, I wouldn't have done a show tonight. Point blank, I wouldn't have done a show tonight, or I would have let you all know, hey, we're starting late or whatever. I did not know. I had no inclination that this was going to happen. It's a Tuesday night. Normally, this doesn't happen on a Tuesday night. So this is one of those cases where there's no way for me to have known. If there was, you would all knew about it. So my apologies. My apologies in regards to that. So that's why we're on the air late. With that being said, let me give you all an idea of what's to come here tonight. We're going to do our usual entertainment stuff, box office, beat, and TV highlights. And thankfully, we don't have a lot to talk about. So that kind of helps here tonight on a night when we're starting the show late. We want to kind of motor through things pretty quickly. So, we'll just do a quick box office beat. If there's any TV highlights, we'll get through those. Because I really don't have any, but if there are, we'll go to them. And then we also have, on the sports side of things, we're going to be talking about the NBA Finals. We're going to wrap up our discussion of the NBA season. Obviously, we'll still talk NBA, but we'll wrap up the season, if you will. And then before we move on to like the draft and the off-season kind of stuff. And that's going to be it. We're not going to do any other sports stuff. There's nothing really we have to cover. There ain't no other like big stories. I mean, if we wanted to talk about baseball, we could. If we want to talk about other little things, we could. But there's nothing pressing that needs to be talked about. So we'll just keep it to the NBA because there's enough there to mine. So we'll leave it at that. So yeah, that's going to be our show. And some box office beat, TV highlights, and a little NBA. And that's going to be the show here tonight. Thursday, an all-wrestling show previewing WWE's Money in the Bank, SmackDown exclusive Money in the Bank pay-per-view event, which will take place this Sunday on the WWE Network. So, obviously we'll do what we always do, go over the matches, make predictions, and then at what time we have left, we'll do questions and comments from the fans. So if you'd like to submit a question or comment before the show, you can do that, or you can, of course, do that during the show on Thursday as well by email, Facebook, or Twitter. So if you want to do that, make sure that you do that. And that's the rest of this week. That's what's going to be going down this week here on the show. Next week, as I've been mentioning, I mentioned that we're going to talk about our schedule going forward, our summer schedule. In the past, we've had a lot of preemptions in summer. We always take I think we cut down to like one show at the end of August. So we do have like some preemptions and stuff that happen during the summer. Well, this year I was going to make an effort to let you all know ahead of time, what days we'd be preempting. We'd probably be dropping down to one show for the bulk of the summer. I'm going to let you all know about that probably on Thursday, if not Thursday, next Tuesday. Not going to do that tonight because I'm still ironing out a few things, but we will do that either Thursday or next Tuesday, let you all know what the schedule is going to look like for the summer. As I mentioned last week, we have a couple of big things coming up: NBA draft preview and, of course, analysis. The In the Spotlight TV Awards process will be beginning. I think we're going to start that next week, I believe, but don't quote me on that. I'll confirm that on Thursday, one way or the other. I'm just trying to figure out the final dates for everything. So a couple big things coming up as we approach the summer. And then there's a couple other things I want to talk about. I'm not going to do it here tonight. It's not the proper show to do it on, but we'll talk more about that next either Thursday or next week as we go along here. Let you all know what else is going to be going on with the show going forward here. So keep all that in mind as far as that goes. Next week, I do believe we're going to be doing 2 shows. So don't expect us to cut down to 1 show next week. I think we're going to be doing 2 shows next week as well. So just keep that part in mind. Keep that in mind, I should say. All right, so I'm going to guess my co-host is going to be late. Hopefully he's still up. So we're going to just start without him because I do not want to waste time. It's already approaching 10:30. So we'll start with the entertainment stuff first. Pardon me. I want to get his gauge on get his reactions on the NBA stuff. So it's more important to get the box office stuff. It's more prudent to do the box office stuff without him than the NBA stuff. So we'll jump into entertainment, which is what I was going to do anyway, and start talking about the box office, which, oh, he is here. Oh, Mike, you are in the spotlight. Okay. I didn't, my thing is, my screen's lagging really badly. Wow.
Because you are lagging.
I'm unable. Okay, go ahead. I couldn't understand you because you were breaking up. What did you say?
I said you're slow.
Oh, well, my screen is slow. I can't really help that.
No. I'm not talking about your screen. I'm talking about you.
Oh, you're a jerk.
Yep.
Anyway, well, Mike is in the spotlight, so that's good. All right. Well, anyway, let's move because we have to move, and it's good to move. So, as I mentioned, there's not a lot here to mine. Okay, what happened last weekend is pretty self-explanatory. I think we all kind of suspected Wonder Woman had a very good chance to retain #1 based on how it was tracking, how good of weekday totals it was pulling in, the good word of mouth. It had everything. And while Wonder Woman was trending up, The Mummy was trending down. And here's the thing. The Mummy never really tracked very well. There was the anticipation factor for that movie was never very good. I think you were hoping for a World War Z kind of thing here where it just kind of did okay enough and you moved on with your life. That never happened. Here's the thing. Bad word of mouth killed what potential this movie had to even do decent in its opening weekend. And then once Wonder Woman started doing better than expected, as it should because of the good word of mouth and such, that put the final nail on The Mummy. Okay. Now look, the concern if you're Universal that you have is that this is the start of a universe, of a cinematic universe, the dark universe, the monster movie universe that they're trying to establish. Now they claim that they're not basing this universe out, they're not going to base it, whether this universe is going to succeed on one movie. Because here's the thing. When you start doing these cinematic universes, we all got spoiled by Marvel. Marvel hasn't had a flop yet, and it's highly doubtful they ever will because they built up such a good track record at this point that even their movies that do less than they should end up being overly successful. But, the more studios that do these shared universes, okay, eventually you're going to see 1 or 2 flop. It's just going to happen. And it's going to especially be the case in universes like this where, the interest level is not as high as it would be for a superhero movie or, if you do like a Harry Potter movie or fantasy movie or something like that. You know what I mean? It's not the same thing. These movies, these movies are very hit or miss, and so much of it's going to depend on whether people think the movie's going to be good and whether people tell them that the movie is good once it's out. they're going to rely heavily on good word of mouth, because here's the thing: The Mummy has been done. It's been done multiple times, and it was done to great success the last time around, the Brendan Fraser Mummy movie. And if there's a problem with The Mummy, it was that a lot of people thought they should have just continued with the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies, or that they should have tied this to them in some way, shape, or form. That was one of the biggest things you heard last weekend with this movie was, well, I really wish it either continued or was tied in some way to the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies. And you know what? That's a valid point, because that might have helped them. It would have given them an establishing point to go forward with. And there's been some people that thought that Tom Cruise shouldn't have been in it too. So there's a couple of things that kind of hurt this movie right out of the get-go. Now, Universal said, look, we're not deterred here. We want to continue with this universe. We still have hope for this universe, and they still think The Mummy might end up making a profit. I suppose it already has. Thankfully, the overseas gross has helped it, 140.7 million. So they feel validated in that. It's already up to 175 million because of the overseas growth. 140 of it is overseas. And again, it's another movie that overseas is helping to carry, which is going to, I'm telling you right now, folks, majority of movies are going to be doing that now. A majority of movies are going to be doing that now. I truthfully believe that, especially in the summer, because these movies are cannibalizing each other, and overseas, they're a little bit more spread out. So, because some markets do better than others. So, you know, for all the hooing and hawing about The Mummy not doing well, it's already made a profit. And it's after its first weekend due to its overseas gross. So for Universal, they're probably like, you know what? Okay, fine. US didn't do so well. Oh, well. Oh, well. So, you know, they feel validated in their belief now because of that. So good for them. Was it a flop here? Yeah, but we've seen that this year. We've seen that in past years, that sometimes it just doesn't do as well here. Certain movies just don't. So it is what it is. But overall, you're not going to be able to call it a complete flop because of what it did overseas. Wonder Woman, again, tremendous. 43% drop off, 58.5. Great numbers. Captain Underpants, its second week, dropped sharply, nearly 50%, but that was expected. 12.1 million in third. Pirates of the Caribbean dropped another 51%, 10.7 million, and 7 million, dropping to fourth place in its third week. You know, like The Mummy, it's done better overseas. It's already up to 601.7 million on a $230 million budget. The key for them is that $800 million mark. They have to get to that. If they do, I think Disney will be happy. They'll green light the sixth and final one and move on with their lives. If they don't, we'll see what happens. Guardians of the Galaxy continues to do great business, still in the top 5 and fifth place with 6.3 million, 35% drop off. Again, very, very good there. And last week's other new movie, one of the other new movies, It Comes at Night, the horror thriller for A24, coming in sixth place with 5.9 million. Not a very good number at all, but a pretty small budget, so probably going to be okay there. Low risk, high reward kind of deal. The other new movie that came out last week was Megan Levy, which was starring Kate Mara, Bradley Whitford, and Tom Felton. Did not do great. Again, I was going to play more to older audiences anyway. 3.8 million in eighth place. Finishing behind Baywatch, which came in 7th with 4.6. Again, not too shocking to see that movie end up where it did. And not too shocking to see Baywatch end up where it did. So everything, for the most part, I think, went according to plan, but The Mummy making a little less. Remember, I sat here last week and said it could probably, I was thinking 35 to 40 million. That's what I was thinking. But was it out of the realm that it would do lower? No. And only did a little lower than that. So, but again, overseas helped it. So that was the big story. Wonder Woman continuing to do extremely well, and The Mummy not doing well in the U.S. But again, that's kind of par for the course nowadays for some movies, isn't it? Now the script gets flipped to this weekend, the middle part of June, where we have 4 major releases. 4 major releases in play here. The biggest release is an animated film from Disney Buena Vista, Cars 3, 3,900 theaters. Obviously, you know the Cars films. This one had some buzz early on because of the trailer, which featured Lightning McQueen. I almost gave the impression he might get killed off and scared the heck out of a lot of people. It's being said to be the last film in this franchise. The expectation probably would be that it would do a little bit better than the second one. We'll see. I would say this should probably pull in at least 65, 70 million. A lot of schools aren't out yet. In some parts of the country they are, but in some other parts they're not. But you think even if even the schools that aren't out, you know, they're headed towards the end here. So you would think that there'd be a little bit of an uptick here in with any movies that appeal to younger fans going forward here, because you're heading into the middle part of June now. And so Cars 3 should get a little bit more than it might have if it came out a couple of weeks ago. So I'd say 65, 70 million. Could be more. I wouldn't expect any less. And it's going to be number one for sure. The second biggest movie is a horror thriller, 47 Meters Down, from Entertainment Studios, starring Matthew Modine and Mandy Moore. PG-13. There's a lot of people think this could be a surprise and do very, very well. Look, they're giving it 3,500 theaters, which is crazy. So, you know, there is a little bit of a buzz here. It's PG-13, which doesn't limit it. Obviously extends it a little bit more. There have been some horror, thriller, suspense movies lately. Some that have done well, some that haven't. My expectation is that this won't do great, but it might do well to get to like 20 million. So I'm going to go between 15 and 20. Maybe 16, 17 million. I'll go 16, 17 million. If it does better than that, I'd be shocked. I know it's got a high theater count, which suggests that they think it could do better than that, but I don't know. There's no big cast draw there. Matthew Modine, Mandy Moore, I'm going to draw a lot. And even though it's been well promoted, there's other movies out, so I don't know if it's going to be able to pull in too much. The next biggest movie is Rough Night, an R-rated comedy starring Scarlett Johansson and Kate McKinnon. It's opening in about 3,000 theaters from Sony Columbia. This movie I think is going to do well, even if it's R rating. I expect it to get to about 20, 25 million. I think it's going to do well. Will it be good enough for second? We'll see how Wonder Woman does. But it should be at least good enough for third. If Wonder Woman drops like people think it will, it might have enough to beat Wonder Woman, but it's going to be close between Wonder Woman and Rough Night, that's for sure. The next movie, big movie here, is All Eyes on Me, a drama from Lionsgate Summit, opening in 2,450 theaters. R-rated. The untold story of Tupac Shakur. Should find an audience. Could easily get to 15, 20 million. The only reason why I don't think it could get more than that is because of the theater count and the R rating. Could it pull Straight Outta Compton? Maybe. I think it would have if it was out in July. If it was being out right now, so much competition, I'm not really sure. But it could, but the theater count kind of hurts it a little bit here. But yeah, I could see it pulling in. I could see it competing with 47 Meters Down, or even exceeding it. So yeah. Another movie to keep an eye on this weekend. It's not opening as a major release, but it's got a little bit of a known factor here. The Book of Henry, a drama from Focus Features, will be in 575 theaters. It will probably be expanding over the next few weeks. Directed by Colin Trevorrow and starring Lee Pace, Sarah Silverman, Jacob Tremblay, and Naomi Watts. This had a little bit of a promotion and a little bit of a buzz early on that kind of dropped. You might see a pool in like 2-3 million this weekend, but it's going to be expanding over the next couple weeks, so keep an eye out for that one. All right, so the way I see it this weekend, Cars 3 will be number one, 65, 70 million, maybe more. Second place is going to be a competition between Rough Night and Wonder Woman. Whatever one's not second will be third. I expect both to be in that $20 to $25 million range. After that, I think you'll have a competition for fourth and fifth between All Eyes on Me and 47 Meters Down. They'll probably both be between that $15 and $20 million mark. All Eyes on Me has potential to get above that, but that's where I'm putting it right now. And then after that, you'll probably have The Mummy around 12, 13 million. And after that, I think you'll see. I expect Captain Underpants to drop considerably because now you got Cars 3 out. Probably dropped around 6 million. Pirates are probably dropped around 5. Guardians will drop below 5 or be right around that $5 million mark. And that's how they'll all end up probably this weekend. That's just my educated guesses there. Mike, any thoughts on box office last weekend, this weekend, or in general?
I'm going to be totally honest with you. I didn't hear anything you said. I had the site had crashed for me.
Okay.
Problem tonight, I guess we're going to be focusing on or having or dealing with.
Okay.
So that being said, I feel like I'm not going to comment very much on it. The movies are what it were. The Mummy was not a big success. It was better internationally. Kind of like a Pirates of the Caribbean scenario there. Goodness gracious. Wonder Woman's overperforming again, but I guess with Cars 2, especially now the picture that I have is finally caught up. Going to be the overwhelming favorite this week. There. I've analyzed it. You're welcome. Let's move on.
Okay. All right. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we have a TV highlights segment planned for tonight. I don't have any. I didn't really watch anything outside of the NBA Finals, and there was nothing on. None of my shows really on this week or anything, so I don't have anything to contribute to this. But Mike, do you have any TV highlights?
Any TV highlights?
Yeah, is anything that you saw over the last week you want to recommend or whatever?
Oh, sure.
Head out.
The latest episode of Doctor Who aired. It featured a classic villain and the Ice Monsters, even though they were, I believe, the super bad guys. It was more of a dickhead British soldier, the real villain of the episode. And we had a nice little throwback to played by John Pertwee's era. And officially, they have the oldest. This episode features the oldest person ever acted in a Doctor Who episode. Actress who played Centauri, and as of writing, she is 92 years old. Episode was a very strong episode. It had a nice plot. It was a nice little throwback plot, and up to something bigger coming up. Bigger with Doctor Who, especially since former showrunner Russell T Davies was the showrunner for the Eccleston and Tennant eras. Showrunner Russell T Davies says, "Yes, I know who the new Doctor is." So that announcement is so. We are coming to the end of the Capaldi era, and I would say it's one of the strongest eras in Doctor Who history. These 3 seasons were nothing short of fantastic. Other than that, there really has been nothing on that I did. Nothing really. Just Doctor Who. Watch Doctor Who.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Now, that's the only entertainment stuff we're going to do. We're not going to do any entertainment news or anything. We obviously don't have the time, and plus I wasn't going to plan on doing it this week anyway. I knew this was going to be a combo show. I usually don't try to add things to it because there's enough to do anyway. So we're going to jump into the sports realm, and like I said, there's nothing else but the NBA pressing that we have to talk about. We could talk about baseball. We could talk about a few other things, but it's not pressing. It's not like it doesn't have to be done right this second. So, and we got plenty of time over the summer when there's no other sports going on to talk baseball and other things. So tonight I just want to focus on the NBA Finals, wrap that up, look at back at the season, kind of wrap that up and move on and start setting up the draft and all these other things going forward here. And that's what we're going to do right now. So let's start here. When we last talked about the finals, obviously Cleveland was already in dire straits. They were down 0-2. And, I think there's a couple of things to look at here. The first thing is people are going to look at this and go, well, the NBA wanted this series, and it's supposed to be epic. It's over in 5. It could have easily been a sweep if Cleveland hadn't done what they did and broken records and shattered records by scoring 86 points in the first half in Game 4. And look, the bottom line is this. Golden State was the better team. See, I think people get wrapped up in matching up big threes or, the superstars. You match up the superstars, oh, this should be even. No. Because I think we can all agree that if you put LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love and match them up with Durant, Stephen Curry, and Klay Thompson, okay? If you match them up, productivity-wise, it's going to equal out. Okay, I'm not saying one's better than the other, whatever. I'm just saying productivity-wise, they're going to even out. The difference in Golden State and Cleveland is the bench. Golden State's bench outscores everybody else in the league in their sleep. You saw the differential in Game 5. I think it was like 38-5 or something like that. Their bench is the best bench in the NBA, far and away. That's where they beat you. Okay. Yes. Can they drain the hell out of you on defense with their big three? Absolutely. But so can Cleveland. Okay. You got to look at what makes Golden State so difficult and so exhausting to deal with is the fact that they go beyond their big three. Okay. Once you get beyond Durant, Curry, and Thompson, you have Draymond Green, who's obviously a big man, but also he does so much. Okay, forget about his antics for a minute. Let's just talk about him just as a basketball player. He does so much. He's a great passer. He's a great defender. He's a great guy in the post. He makes things happen. He's probably one of the best players in the NBA without the ball. Okay, he makes things happen. You got Andre Iguodala. You have Sean Livingston, who's been great for them in a bench role. You have McCaw, who's turned into a fine player. I think he was underrated this entire series. We could go on and on here. They are a deep basketball team. And that's where they beat you. It allows them to put Curry on the bench and just leave Durant out there. Or keep Durant out there and put Curry on the bench. They give their guys time to breathe because they have a bench. Cleveland can't do that. They can't get LeBron off the floor. Tyronn Lue has to give 30 seconds to LeBron here and there, wherever he can, because that's all he can spare. They can barely survive without Irving on the court now. They just do not have anybody. Irving and LeBron did their jobs in this series. Kyrie Irving was apparently hurt last night, by the way. He apparently aggravated his surgically repaired knee and played through, and that's why I guess he said that he couldn't make a lot of the layups and shots that he usually make because he got injured in the first quarter. Kevin Love will give you what he gives you. Sometimes he's inconsistent, but for the most part, you get something out of Kevin Love. But let's be honest. You look at the rest of Cleveland's other playmakers. Cleveland had a problem all season long with with two things: staying healthy and depth. They tried to repair it over the course of the season. They got Darren Williams. They got, they got Richard Jefferson from last season to help with that. I mean, they tried. It just never materialized. They're just too inconsistent. You got some good minutes out of Darren Williams at times in this series. J.R. Smith showed up last night for once. Richard Jefferson gave you something here and there. You got things out of Tristan Thompson kind of showed up here and there. But here's the thing. It's here and there. They're not consistent. Golden State's bench is consistent. Game in and game out, their bench outperforms the other team. Players outside their big three outperform the other team. And this is the reason why. Okay, when people go shouting from the rooftops, well, I hate the NBA. They allow for these super teams. That super teams does not look. The super teams are what they are. We've been dealing with super teams in the NBA since the early 2000s. The Lakers did it with Karl Malone and Gary Payton that they tried to do it. It failed miserably. You can put together whatever team you want to put together, but if the chemistry is not right and you don't have other guys behind them to spell them a few minutes and balance things out, you're not going to win. Here's the thing people forget about. The reason why these NBA playoffs stunk was because, first of all, nobody else stepped up. All right? Nobody stepped up. All the teams that we thought had potential, Toronto, Boston, San Antonio. Now, you give San Antonio a little bit of a pass. Their best player got hurt in game 1. That changed the entire series. San Antonio, I'll tell you this, folks. If Kawhi Leonard doesn't get hurt, that series goes 7, and San Antonio has a chance to get to the NBA Finals. San Antonio was a very good basketball team. They could have beaten Golden State. Okay? So, but that's neither here nor there. It obviously didn't have. But every team that we thought had the potential to make things interesting in the NBA playoffs did not step up. San Antonio gets an asterisk because of injury. That's the thing. We've seen super teams lose. We've seen it. The Celtics, when they had their big three, lost. Okay? Miami, when they had their big three, lost to the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals. Okay? You've seen these teams lose. Don't act like they're ruining the league by having all these teams go, yeah, does it suck? Is it what the old school league would have had happen? No. But we are not in the 1980s anymore. Clearly, you can tell by the play. Okay? Every one of these players whines and cries every time somebody blows on them now. It's ridiculous. But
it's funny because it's true.
It is true. And the officiating stinks, and the officials are worried about the wrong crap. They're worried about so much other garbage that they don't know whether they're coming or going. They can't even make the basic calls anymore. But I digress. The league has changed. Pro sports has changed. Baseball has had super teams, okay? The NFL has had super teams. You're going to have these teams every once in a while. And you know what? They actually help. You get interest. You got people that love those teams, and then you got a majority of people that want to see them lose. Mike will tell you, he always says this about baseball. If you don't have the Yankees and the Red Sox and Cole in the playoffs, nobody cares. Because there's people, they're very popular, they have big fan bases, but what also happens? People want to watch to see them lose. They want to see the underdog beat the Goliath. If you don't have the Goliaths there, nobody cares. It's not compelling. How big would it have been, and it obviously didn't happen, but how big would it have been if the Celtics had beaten the Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals? How huge would that have been? Or if San Antonio had knocked off Golden State, or if Golden State had gotten picked off somehow by the Clippers. Again, I know, but if it had. If you build your teams the right way, okay, and you don't, not everybody has to have 3 superstars. We've seen teams with no superstars beat the teams with the superstars. Dallas beat Miami with LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh in their prime, with Dirk Nowitzki, Jason Terry, and what? I forget who else. Tyson Chandler. That team had no business beating Miami. But they did. So I don't want to hear about the stupid super team thing. I don't want to hear. Look, Kevin Durant did what he did. You can agree with it or you can disagree with it. But I've heard this from a number of people that I trust, and I agree with it 100%. I don't think Kevin Durant leaves the Thunder if Russell Westbrook is on that team. If Russell Westbrook is leaving that team. If Oklahoma City had said, we're trading Russell Westbrook, or if he had known Russell Westbrook was going to be leaving in a year, I guarantee you Durant would have stayed on the Oklahoma City Thunder. I guarantee you that. Because Durant, the thing that bothered Durant was that he wanted a team that played together. He saw what San Antonio had done. He saw what Cleveland was doing. He saw what Golden State was doing. What's the one thing they have in common? They're willing passers. They all work together. It's a wide open offense. The offense never stops. There's no roadblocks. There's no walls. But with Oklahoma City, the ball stops with Russell Westbrook. He stops the offense. He holds the ball, and he takes unbelievably bad shots. And we could go on and on. We've talked about it. Okay, granted, he had a historic year this year. Congrats to him. But we all know Russell Westbrook destroys the offensive flow on offense. We all know that. And that's why Durant left. He's never going to say it. Nobody's ever going to say it, but we all know it. We all watch enough Thunder games to know it. He went to a team where he knew he could be part of it and he could excel because it makes him a better player to be in a system like Golden State or San Antonio or whatever. And you saw that. Kevin Durant played his best basketball in these playoffs, in these NBA finals, because he was in a system that worked. It was in an unselfish system that made him an even better player than he ever was. It was one of the more, and on top of Kevin Durant's wonderful performance, LeBron James, Stephen Curry, Kyrie Irving, those four guys together put on one of the most efficient from a shooting perspective. Okay, I'm not going crazy here, but from a shooting a shot perspective, a shooting perspective. Okay, put on one of the most efficient performances you'll ever see in the NBA playoffs, NBA finals. That was, I mean, it was a thing of beauty. The shooting percentages and how efficient their performances were. So, I covered a lot of ground there, but at the end of the day, here's the bottom line. Golden State earned this. I know they had some help along the way. San Antonio was not the same without Kawhi Leonard, whatever, but they had to earn it against Cleveland. Cleveland was outmatched. You could tell LeBron handled it beautifully last night. He's right. The better team won. Cleveland, I don't think they have to trade Kevin Love or somebody to go get something. They don't need a superstar. They need a bench. They need guys. They need playmakers. They need a couple. They need two more really good defenders. All right? They need two more two-way players. That's what they need. If they get that, I think they'll be okay. Because if you look back at this series, it all turned in Game 3. I know Golden State dominated the first two games. But if Cleveland does not let Game 3 get away, you saw what they did in Game 4, this is a different series. So I don't think Cleveland's that far off here. All right? And obviously Durant was a difference maker for obvious reasons. They didn't have him last year. And it was nice. You look back at these finals. This was the first finals that these three have had, that these two teams have had. And this is the third one straight that they've had, where everybody was healthy. At least until the last game. Irving got hurt in the last game, but they're all healthy. To have everybody on the floor and facing each other was nice. I know, it's the third time around, but look, if you think back to the first time, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love were hurt. Last year, Draymond Green gets suspended. We know something was wrong with Curry's ankle. We know that last year. That was obvious. But it was nice to have everybody healthy on the floor and let it get settled. And the officiating was a mess, but I'm glad it wasn't too one-sided in this series, or particularly last night, because it could have easily been. At times it looked like it might be, but it wasn't. If you look at both teams got screwed last night. It was a terribly officiated ball game and a terribly officiated playoffs. Terrible. All season long. And I'm just going to lump my season and playoff reaction in here because the season was bland. The playoffs were bland. Everything that could go wrong for the NBA did, except for getting the two teams they wanted into the finals. The teams that you thought could compete with them, with Cleveland and Golden State, either didn't live up to the hype or had injuries like the Celtics and the Spurs that prevented them from even getting close. The finals, again, it was a mismatch. Golden State was just better. We already talked about it. And I don't think it's going to change next year because Cleveland's just going to be like, okay, let's go get a couple bench guys and let's see what we can do. Golden State's going to keep everybody and maybe improve here or there. And you're going to have the same two teams at the top again. Your best chance, and the only two teams that I see even remotely coming close to knocking these two out are Boston and San Antonio. Unless something drastically changes. And Boston needs to go get another scorer and maybe one plus defender. And San Antonio, I think, is fine. I think San Antonio could stand pat and be just fine. It's that they have to stay healthy. I think San Antonio has enough because they do have a bench. It's probably the second best bench to what Golden State has, to be honest. So, yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be the same NBA season next year. Obviously, you're going to have I don't expect much movement in the offseason here. The draft will be interesting. We'll talk more about that next week. But free agent-wise, I don't expect anything like last year where Durant shifted the entire balance of power. I don't expect anything like that. The only person that could potentially do that is Carmelo Anthony. And I don't know how that – and that's going to be probably the only interesting piece of the offseason. And that might even spill into next season. That didn't really move much this season. So, a lot of the storylines that we thought were going to be interesting this season ended up not being interesting at all. So it was a fairly lackluster NBA season, and it was a fairly lackluster playoffs and really finals. You're not going to remember a lot about this season other than Kevin Durant finally got a championship. And they, for the most part, everybody handled it classy last night. I thought everybody did a good job last night. Even Draymond Green seemed okay for once. So, it's what it is. It's been a lackluster sports year, if you think about it. I mean, we haven't had that many good moments. Last year had the Cubs, and really since the Super Bowl, it's kind of calmed down considerably. The Final Four wasn't that good this year. Been a lackluster. The NHL playoffs kind of died off a little bit. Petered out. NBA petered out. Kind of been since the Super Bowl, since the Patriots did their thing. It's been kind of ho-hum. So that's my thoughts. NBA season, playoffs, finals. That's it. I don't have anything to add. It was kind of, like I said, it was there. It happened. Mike, go ahead.
NBA. All right, real quick. Couple observations from last night's game. Zaza Pachulia, without being literally thrown out of the game for more than 5 minutes. That guy is one of the dirtiest players I've seen play in a very long time. And he is a player who cannot handle it when it goes back his way. He is one of the players that can dish it out, but when it comes back on him, he cries like a little. Zaza Pachulia was one of the biggest black marks on that game last night. 10 minutes. How he played 10 minutes, I'll never know. But he was a black mark on that game. He was a walking embarrassment. On the other side, Golden State rookie Patrick McCaw played 20 games for Golden State, but gave them 12 really good minutes. This game. 6 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. He was playing great defense all over the place. That kid's got a future. A high in McCaw's play, who made the most of his time. Mm-hmm. Absolute low in Zaza Pachulia, who is a worthless piece of shit who shouldn't be in the NBA. But hey, at least Pachulia. I will say this. I've seen a little bit of the finals, and I will say that it was as officiated as the rest of the season. And that it was god-awful or terrible for both sides. Like, how the fuck did Pachulia not get at least a something, a call for holding Kevin Love's jersey? Look, Kevin Love was last night was obviously injured. He was nursing something. Either an injured ankle, injured knee, or a hangover. I don't know what he was nursing. But that kid, but Kevin Love played 30 minutes, and he was
Mm-hmm.
compromised. For some reason, he got 10 rebounds, 6 assists. Tristan Thompson, just where the fuck has that guy been all year?
Yeah.
He was a key piece to the Cavs winning last year. What's up with the Kardashian? And this year,
Non-existent.
that's related. It's just a giant coincidence. Tristan Thompson didn't exist. He didn't exist. It's a little embarrassing. A little embarrassing. J.R. Smith showed up. 5 points last night just so he could say, "Hey, LeBron, I helped. I helped LeBron. I helped. I helped LeBron. I helped LeBron. I helped LeBron. I help. Please don't get rid of me, LeBron. Please. I'm sorry for biting the hand that feeds me all the time. Hey, LeBron." Never heard that. He probably want to punch me in the face, but to act. Kyrie Irving had a decent game last night, 42 minutes. But I think the one thing you can obviously say is it wasn't LeBron James's fault.
No, it really wasn't. It wasn't LeBron James's fault.
LeBron James, a triple-double. He had 41 points last night.
Yep.
41 points. And honestly, they probably should have given the finals MVP to LeBron.
You could have made the case.
He could have made the case. He was probably second.
I would hope
Kevin
so.
Durant, but with the type of series Kevin Durant had,
Yeah.
this was going to condense everything because I don't know how long I have until one of us gets kicked off. It'll probably be me, but the through line for the season, the storyline for the season began in the summer last year. Kevin Durant leaves the Thunder, signs with the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Deal. Signs with the Golden State Warriors. They create a super team. Ironically, LeBron James in the post-game interview said, "I don't feel like I've ever been on a super team."
I'm taking that as tongue in cheek.
I've ever been on a super team. The next thing he says, "This Cleveland team is a super team." Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? The fuk you lying? Stop fucking lying.
I think
Because
LeBron
let's be
needs to cover
clear
off.
here. I think LeBron needs a lot of time off because if he fucking thinks that Miami team wasn't a super team, he's got another thing coming.
Ray Allen was the sixth man on that team.
Yeah, Ray Allen, multiple-time All-Star, multiple-time NBA first team, sixth man.
Yeah. Not a super team.
Oh. So here's the thing. Durant goes on the Warriors, who were previously one of the best teams in the league. One of the best teams in the league who won 75 games or whatever.
Right.
The very definition of a super team. So, if anything, Golden State would like to think, for being a selfish prick on the basketball court, driving away best player to the best team in the league And that's the thing. We watched and that was it. That was his through line this year. Can Golden State and Kevin Durant coexist? Could they get a ring for Durant? Took them 5 games in the finals, but they certainly got him.
Oh yeah,
And that was the storyline. Will Durant succeed with Golden State? Will they get the ring? That was the narrative, and it came to its most logical conclusion because Durant did exactly what we both said it would do. What happened? Was it a good move for Golden State? Absolutely. Because major weaknesses Golden State had. They may have been the best team. They may have had the best record. But, yes, Justin is feeding the cats. But things they did is they were very over-reliant on the 3. Kevin Durant solves that issue because Kevin Durant can do anything offensively. That guy is motivated. He can go to the basket on anybody. He can shoot mid-range jumpers. He can shoot threes. He can do whatever the hell he wants. And only a few guys in the league can stop him. That was the piece Golden State needed. Because when Durant's cutting all over the floor, hitting mid-range jumpers, hitting layups, dunks, Curry's open. He hits 34. Klay Thompson was the guy who suffered the most. And let's face it, he only played 34 minutes. He had 11 points. A whole lot to say, but at least he put forth something. I could say for Tristan Thompson. So the thing is, but Klay has had his moments this year, whereas Tristan Thompson has been gone.
Right.
Persona incognita doesn't exist. Thing. So won. The narrative was completed. Kevin Durant filled all of their needs. They made it. It was it.
Yeah.
So, and other than that, it was a boring season.
It was. The whole basketball season in general was boring.
Oh, but one of the big through lines. Now one of the big storylines coming out of these finals isn't even about the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
And this fucking season was not. It's can LeBron go Jordan? No! He can't. And everyone's pointing out stats and everyone's pointing out figures, but everyone's like, everyone's like, well, everybody's going to say that LeBron is 3-5 in the finals, but he's been to 8 straight. Finals is incredibly impressive.
It is.
Nobody's going to take away anything because LeBron made the finals for 8 straight years. It was either the Heat or the Cavs. Yeah, they were 3-5. 3 rings to his credit. And that's great. That is more than I thought he would get. But then again, those are the people who are his detractors. His supporters thought he would have LeBron could get 7 rings. He can get 8 rings.
Yeah.
Rings. It's not the way the league works. The only times that was the way the league worked. Had the Boston Celtics dominating. Chicago Bulls dominating. And in between, you had the Lakers dominating. That's how the league works.
Right.
We get a few years of dominance. See the Pistons in the late 90s, early 90s, and so on and so forth. The Lakers got it here and there. They traded wins. The 76ers only got a few wins. But look, teams got it. Only can surpass it so many times. We're that team. The Celtics were that team. The Lakers at times were that team.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have that. And look, somebody else was doing this comparison to when Jordan went to the Eastern Conference Finals and lost. This is the year before they broke through. The Pistons. And everybody said, look, excuse me, Jordan's team that year, he's second of 25 teams in rebounding. Carry that team. Wasn't. And his supporting guys weren't there yet. On the Jordanettes.
Yeah.
LeBron James had this major team with him that won a title.
Yeah.
Talking about it is embarrassing because here's the fact. Michael Jordan will still go down player in the history of the NBA. Will in fact go down as probably the single most talented player in the NBA. No doubt about it. James could do on the court. Many can't even match. Just his talent alone. His talent alone is top class, first rate. LeBron James will probably go down as the most in NBA history. You're thinking, you're looking to the side, rolling your eyes, thinking it'll be true. It'll probably be true.
No, I'm not.
But when it's all said and done, one guy standing atop the mountain is going to be Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
You know, I'm just going to say this and I'm going to end it. But our feelings about LeBron are well documented. But I will say this. Over the last 5 years, I think he's become I never thought he deserved the hype he got when he first got to the NBA. Obviously, the talent was there, but he had a long way to go. He had to learn to become a better defender, a more efficient scorer, a better shooter. There were things that were not there at the beginning. Okay, and in my opinion, he really didn't become worthy of this hype until the last 5 years. And I think it culminated last year in what he did with the Cavaliers.
Last year would have been a story.
Yes, 100%. Yes, but look, I'm not going to deny what he does on the court. He's a game changer. Okay, he makes people better, and what I appreciate about him is, yeah, he can put up his 40 points a game, but he can also put up his 10 assists and 10 rebounds, and he's efficient and he's consistent in what he does. But the thing about this is this, we can all get wrapped up in the 3-8 in the finals and all this, 3-5 in the finals and all this other crap. The fact is, if you get there as many times as he does, okay, and if you consider that he spent his whole entire career in the East, all right, and usually he's facing off against Western teams that in a lot of cases were much better teams than his teams were. Okay, that first trip to the finals with the Cavaliers in 2007, he faced a San Antonio team that was so much better than the Cavaliers, so much better. Okay, you talk about when he played with the first year at Miami and then Dallas. Okay, Dallas played better in that series. Was Cleveland the better? Was Miami the better team? Yeah, but was Dallas better in that series? Yes. Sometimes the more times you get to these things, okay, the more likely it is you're going to lose. And he hasn't always had the best teams. We live in an age where teams kind of come together and they break apart. You start again, and that's kind of how it works. It's a completely different era than what it used to be. In the old days, LeBron James would stay put in one place. He'd have a supporting cast for about 5 or 6 years. He could rattle off 3 or 4 championships in a row. You can't do that anymore. You might be, if you're lucky, you get 2 in a row. If you're lucky. It's hard to do because of the parity and players moving and all that kind of stuff. It's hard to do. You can't blame LeBron James for what happened in this series. Kyrie Irving hurt himself in the first quarter last night. Kevin Love claims he wasn't hurt. Who knows? Might have been
that hangover.
Maybe. Kyrie came out right in the press conference and said, look, I aggravated, no excuses, but I aggravated something in my knee in the first quarter, and I just didn't have a lot of lift. I couldn't get my shots to fall. I mean, it did seem like a lot of his stuff was flat. When he went to the basket on layups, he was just missing. You know, I can buy that. But, and look, I'll leave you with this. If you're an NBA fan, okay, and you're one of these fans that likes when there's a dynasty because you like that kind of thing, like when the Bulls did it and so on, I think we can make this case now with Golden State that we could be. It's not yet. I know they've won 2 in 3 years, but not yet. I think we could be heading into a dynasty because of the fact that these guys. Now, the key here is this: Durant only has a year left. They have to get Durant to stay. If they don't get Durant and everybody to stay, the big guys to stay, then it won't happen. But if they can get everybody to stay and they can keep most of this team together for 5 years or so, even if they don't do it consecutively, they could win 2 or 3 more easily. Because
let me play devil's advocate real quick.
Okay. All right.
With Kevin Durant coming to the Warriors, and there's no reason why he wouldn't maybe stay on an extra year or 2.
Okay, fair enough.
This is an arms race, you realize. Cleveland and Dan Gilbert, John James, and Tyronn Lue now have to sit back and look, got gassed in Game 5.
Right.
What do we need top?
Right.
They're going to be looking at getting an A-ranked player to kind of things out. So now this is an arms race, if you will. So now Cleveland is looking to kind of horses. Who can kind of match let's say not really Durant. Maybe they need a 4th option.
Right.
So I'm expecting Cleveland to go out and get a huge player this summer.
There's to your point though. Okay, Cleveland's going to have some problems where Golden State didn't. Because here's the thing: Golden State's had more cap space because a lot of their players hadn't yet hit free agency, so they had the space to bring in Durant. And Durant was a free agent. There's not a lot of big name free agents.
There's not a lot of big name free agents, but if there's a will, there's a way.
But I know the guy that they want, and I know the guy that they're zeroed in on. That if they can get him, they're going to want to try to get him if they can find the space to do it. Because there's a lot of people that thought, well, maybe they'll trade Kevin Love to get some space, trade Kevin Love for a couple of players to be like bench players net and clear space, and then go get this guy. And the guy I'm talking about is a guy that the Lakers I know want, Paul George.
Paul George could be a difference maker for the Cavaliers, but I think he's only a difference maker if they keep
Kevin Love. Paul George, see, and the reason why they like Paul George, he's a two-way player. Paul George is a very good defender. He can shoot the ball efficiently. He can get to the basket. He's not Kevin Durant, but Paul George will help them. He would really, really help them. He'd be a great option for them. I mean, if they theoretically kept Kevin Love, Paul George would slide in above Kevin Love in the pecking order because he'll get his shots, his opportunities. With LeBron James dishing the ball, he'll get his opportunities.
And Kyrie Irving dishing the ball as well.
Right. Well, I mean, assuming that LeBron usually gets the ball off of Irving anyway, because that's really what they were doing the last month of the season anyway. But anyway, that's the guy I think they would zero. I think that's the guy. If they try to get Carmelo Anthony, that's gonna be a disaster because him and LeBron are essentially it wouldn't work. George would be a better option for them if they could try to finagle that way. But we'll see. I mean, that's But like I said, we could be headed into a dynasty because the problem with Cleveland is this: LeBron's in his 30s. He's older. Everybody on Golden State's younger, all under 30. Okay. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, their contracts are up in 2020. Okay. And we'll see what happens there. The supporting cast is obviously much weaker on the Cavaliers. They have cap space issues. Golden State doesn't have that. They're younger. Most of their guys are locked in. You know, if they can get everybody on. And now look, they got to get people to stay. A lot of people think that Durant might leave. That he might do what LeBron did. I went somewhere else to get that title, and then I go back to Oklahoma City, or I go to somewhere else. There's always that chance. I don't think he will, because I do think he seems comfortable and he seems to like the team and he likes the community in that. But stranger things have happened. There's rumors LeBron's going to leave after next season, so we don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We'll see how it plays out.
Rumors too. And to that point, let me play devil's advocate, if you don't mind. Never going back to Oklahoma City as long as Russell Westbrook's in the uniform there.
Agreed. I agree. Even though they claim to bury the hatchet, he won't.
Nope.
He won't.
Nope. Hatchet because distance funder, I believe.
Yeah.
They don't have to play with each other anymore.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Against each other. They're going to get all that aggression out. They don't have to play with each other. They don't have to share a basketball.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
And we can stop pretending that Russell Westbrook's a point guard.
Yeah. No, you're right though. Yeah, I mean I'm telling you, I will continue to say this. I honestly do not think that Kevin Durant would have left the Thunder if Russell Westbrook was. If Russell Westbrook had already left, or that he had an inclination that he was going to leave or whatever, I think he would have stayed. Because I think he would have stayed knowing, okay, we know what, in a couple years, hopefully we win one. I think he would have. He's not the type of player that I think really wanted to leave. But
no, that was his team. Was his team.
I mean, you remember I was shocked. I was shocked when he left. Truly shocked. I didn't think he was leaving. I thought Westbrook was. I didn't think he was leaving. But
they wanted Westbrook over him. But hey, Westbrook can have the MVP this year.
Kevin Durant's got a ring.
Kevin Durant's got a ring and a Finals MVP. Who won?
Yeah. And Kevin Durant already has MVPs anyway, so.
Did Westbrook get an MVP this year?
I don't think they've given it out yet, have they? As far as I know, they haven't given it out yet.
I'll look it up. Anyway.
But he probably will. He probably will. But, I mean, he probably will. But anyway, like I said, we could be heading, if all things play out, we could be heading into a dynasty. And look, Golden State has a chance of much more long-term success right now than Cleveland does. Cleveland has a shorter window. That's not to say that Cleveland can't win championships and do this too. I'm just saying that Golden State's younger and they have more going for them right now than Cleveland does. That's what getting Durant has done for them, and that's what assembling the kind of team that they've assembled around the big players they have has done for them. So we'll have to see. But that's going to be a story going over the next few years. Golden State becoming a dynasty. I think a story going into next year. What does Cleveland do? What do they go out and get? Do they get a Paul George? What do they do? You know, those things are going to be the storylines. Golden State repeating. Carmelo Anthony. Those are some of the storylines you're going to be hearing. And obviously, even though we're ending our NBA season discussion, that does not mean we're going to stop talking about the NBA. We obviously have the draft. We'll do some pre-draft analysis, post-draft analysis. Obviously, any free agent signings, trades we'll cover during the offseason. All that we'll still do. It's just that we won't be talking about games and stuff like that because it'll be obviously over. So, all right. That's it. We got through everything. And we had a little bit of a nice little discussion at the end there, too. So, with that being said, that is it for tonight. As always, the show might be over. It does not mean you have to stop interacting and contributing to our show. Continue to have your voice heard. Please continue to send in your feedback for the show. We want it. We need it. Please keep sending it. Questions about the show and the scheduling of the show, topic ideas, breaking news items related to sports, entertainment, or wrestling that you want us to cover. Reactions, comments, or opinions on things we talked about in the show, things we said. Any of these things you can do by email, Facebook, and Twitter. You can email us at itspotlight401@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight401. Please remember to use the hashtag itspotlight401 for anything you tweet regarding our show. And, of course, you can find us on Facebook. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook, and then make sure that you like our page once you find it, once you're on it. Because if you're on it, obviously you can like it. So we encourage you to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest information about the show, especially when it comes to scheduling. Obviously, last-minute delays or postponements can happen. And if I'm able to get the chance, that's the best way to get that information out there. So you want to make sure you follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We also post random things on there as well, on both as well. So make sure you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to get the latest information about the show, among other things. Again, just search for In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook and Twitter to do that. If you'd like to keep up with the show and look back at classic episodes, you can stream us anytime on Google Plus and YouTube. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on both those sites, and you'll have access to every episode we ever produced for Google Plus and YouTube. That's every episode from mid-October 2015 all the way up into tonight's episode. They're all available for you to stream anytime you wish. So if you want to do that, just search for In the Spotlight 411 on Google Plus and YouTube, and you'll be able to do that and stream those episodes anytime you wish. If streaming is not your thing, maybe you don't like seeing us on screen, maybe you prefer to listen to us on the go, maybe you're interested in older episodes of the show. If any of that applies to you, then you want to check us out on our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on both those sites, and you'll have access to every episode we've ever produced over the nearly 7 years we've been doing this show. That's everything for our original Blog Talk Radio run from October 2010 to January 2011, everything for our Talk Show run from January 2011 all the way up until mid-October 2015, and of course all of our Google Plus and YouTube episodes from mid-October 2015 all the way up until tonight's episode. Those episodes all available in audio format, transfer into audio format for your convenience. All episodes are listed from the most recent date to the oldest. So if you want to listen to those episodes anytime you wish, maybe missed a part of an episode, want to listen to an episode again, maybe missed an entire episode, maybe you're a longtime fan, wants to check out an episode from 3 or 4 years ago, or a new fan wants to check out an episode like that for the first time. If any of that applies to you, check us out on our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes. Again, just search for In the Spotlight 411. Again, search for In the Spotlight 411, and you'll have access to all of that. So Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes. Always keep up with the show and look back at classic episodes. Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, and iTunes. Always keep up with the show and look back at classic episodes. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 and search for In the Spotlight 411. I want to thank Mike for being here tonight. Thank you, Mike.
Couple things. The NBA awards are going to air June 26th. That's a Monday at 9.
Okay.
So we'll know the MVP then. Russell Westbrook, for whatever that's worth. Not very much. And also offer a congratulations to the Pittsburgh Penguins on winning the Stanley Cup.
Yes, it wasn't much of a series, but I mean, I give Nashville credit for getting it to 6 games. I honestly didn't think they were going to do that, but they did. So
it was enough of a series. And now we await what's going to happen with Sid the Kid. Have caught up to his gushes have caught up to him. So but be the last time we see Sidney Crosby playing professional hockey, eh? But otherwise, it's literally time for bed. It was time for bed like a half hour ago.
Yes.
So.
And by the way, just to throw this out there, I understand there might be the only thing that might be keeping him from retiring is the idea of coming back and three-peating. But the chances of that, it was hard enough to defend it. The chance of it, I don't know if I'd risk that with all his medical history. He'd probably be better off just riding off into the sunset after repeating. But we'll see. All right, so I'm going to pat myself on the back. Another great show. And thank all of you, of course, for your continued support and contributions to the show. Thank you so much for watching. To those that will be watching or listening to this later or at some point, thank you to you as well. There were technical problems tonight. I submitted my little report. Hopefully it gets fixed. I'm sorry. Things were dragging. Sound was an issue. Sometimes it happens. We can't complain. it's much improved, but there's still a lot of work to do. So bear with us. All right, so that's it for tonight. Again, our next show on Thursday will be an all wrestling show previewing WWE SmackDown exclusive Money in the Bank pay-per-view. We'll go over all the matches, make predictions, and of course do questions and comments for what time we have left. So if you'd like to submit a question or comment either before the show or during the show on Thursday, you may do so by email, Facebook, and Twitter. Make sure that you do that if you're interested. That'll be our show this coming Thursday. So until then, and on Thursday, I'll also get into a little bit more about what's going to be happening next week and so on and so forth. So tune in for that. So with that being said, that's it. I hope you all have a great rest of your night, a great Wednesday, and, of course, a great Thursday. We'll see you back here for our next show this coming Thursday night, June the 15th, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, streaming here on YouTube Live. Until then, have a good night, everybody.